Hello everyone. It's James again. And before I start today's video, I just want to quickly say, all work in this video contains 100% original content of and by myself James Smith, otherwise known as Bgood 4000, and was uniquely created with NAWMAL software, by myself James Smith. As I purchased commercial rights from NAWMAL to produce my unique and original video with this software. Commentary is uniquely my own thoughts, feelings, and expressions. Now that I have that out of the way, I do hope your day is going better than fantastic. In today's video, I want to talk about something very important. And it gets to the core of why. That's right. Why someone chooses to live the life of a narcissist. Now here's the thing. I do think and believe there can be genetic history of this in one's family. Where possibly how someone's brain is wired. It can make them more or less likely to have such life issues. However, narcissism usually starts off as a defense mechanism. A survival tool they gravitate towards due to the environment they are living in. Now what I'm going to talk about in this video, in no way, shape or form excuses the mistreatment these individuals dish out to others. As I too lived in such a home with a narcissist mother. And my ex I believe shared the same toxic and very destructive problem. However, it's to better understand this issue. Because as mentioned before, narcissism is a growing trend. Now, narcissism has always been around. However, it wasn't something that was seemingly pushed on people as a lifestyle and as somehow normal. Let me explain. You see, when I was growing up with my golden child brother, I believe he felt very early on. He had to do what he had to do to protect himself. And what he felt like he had to do was side with my mother. Here's the fact. We were very young. And we depended on my mother for survival and stability. As I've mentioned before, I used to question everything. My mother would try to gaslight me. And I would stand firm and say, "No. That's not what you said. This is what you said." This is a test for a narcissist. They will say something. And then literally a minute later will say they never said such a thing. Just to see if you will be a willing part in their toxic dance, so to speak. As a result of my questioning, I was often scapegoated and made to look like the terrible son. My brother witnessed this and realized the only way to give himself what he believed to be safety was to side with my mother and go against me in every single instance he could. It was nothing more than survival. Well, I shouldn't say nothing more. My brother was jealous of me for a few different reasons. And my mother made it even worse by talking behind my back to my brother to get my brother to dislike me even more. All of this happening very early on in our lives. You see, most parents or parents that love their sons and daughters, they talk with them and teach them how to be close with one another. So they can be there for each other in this very difficult world we all live in. But the narcissist parent does the exact opposite. They pit the one that is siding with them against the one that is slated to be the scapegoat. We lived in a very chaotic life situation. In nearly almost all areas of life. Because of my mother's behavior around the parents of those we went to school with. My brother and I were picked on extremely bad. We literally had no stability or love. And what happens is, the person that ends up becoming a narcissist, they retreat in their own mind where they are right and everyone else is wrong as a way to self-protect. They create a false self and reality around that false self that allows them to self-protect. And this false self can also be created by a codependent as well for self-protection. The difference is, the one that turns to being a narcissist, they break somewhere along the line to where they stop feeling for others. Empathy goes out the window. They may never learn how to develop it because no one has ever showed real empathy to them. Now, why is this so important? Well, for me it started with forgiveness so I could move forward. I realized what my mother was doing was done to her. and the choices that she made that led her down the empty road of narcissism was made by someone that should have at the time been worrying about the normal growing up stuff. Not how to mentally survive a toxic home with a crazy parent or parents. Here's the thought about narcissism. If someone is rescued out of such a home early on, it's possible with love that this defense mechanism can be caught in time before it becomes a full-on personality disorder. Not always, but sometimes. If it's caught in time, this individual they might be able to go on to live a normal happy life. Then one has to ask oneself, why is narcissism seemingly growing and growing? Could it be lots of people growing up in broken homes with at least one narcissist parent? Could it be most things around them have become so fast-paced, toxic and chaotic? They choose whatever self-protection they can possibly grab onto. And for some, without even knowing the name, it ends up being narcissism. And when they choose such a toxic road, they find it so difficult turning off that road. They might even in the beginning have second thoughts, but they are already stuck in the lie and have a very hard time turning around and admitting that fact to themselves regarding their situations. Why? Because they feel and believe, and possibly rightfully so, they will be devoured, so to speak, by those they confess these facts to. Sadly, people can be very unforgiving, and when they see weakness in others, they pounce. And I think this is where and how those that are growing up get stuck in the narcissistic trap. And eventually they develop a taste for what they are doing to others. Because they literally have nothing else. They've never learned how to feel good about doing good things, or productive things. They've learned to get enjoyment from deceiving others. And once they are in this stage of things, turning around, as we know, is almost impossible. This is why it's said, if you feel like you are dealing with a narcissist, don't try to save them. Save yourself and get out. But why is it important to see and know why narcissism is so big now? I remember when I was young and not knowing what to do, where I had to depend on my mother for my stability. I was truly scared. And I will bet my brother was just as scared. And when you are in such a situation, inexperienced in life, depending on your parent or parents for everything, you are going to make some really unwise life choices. The sad part is, if these unwise life choices aren't worked on or dealt with, they can ruin that person's life and so many others that are around this person. Narcissists in today's society flourish. Television shows many examples of toxic relationships and behavior as something normal. And sadly, many imitate this behavior. And then you have many that conform to this behavior because they just want to survive, or what they think is survival. Sadly, at the end of the day, my brother became mentally and emotionally disabled for real. He doesn't live a normal life. He spends his life talking to one counselor after the other, telling them half-truths about his life and false self. He doesn't know how to fit normally into society. He doesn't know how to have friends. And he still can't stand me. I think if he could have lived it over again, he might have. Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. But it seems most of these narcissists have horrible lives. Regardless if they are financially rich or financially poor. But it usually all started out with embracing something they shouldn't have embraced. All to gain the love and protection, or so-called love and protection, of their narcissist parent or parents. And thus the cycle continues from one generation to the next. And then there's those that don't embrace the narcissism. We are slated to be narcissistic supply and ruined, so we can't develop healthy families of our own. Thus, narcissists get a foothold in this world and grow and grow and grow. So how is a change made? Understanding where that choice of such a young person is made, that has no understanding of the world and the situation they are truly living under. And make it so healthy people can develop families, so they can pass on healthier ways of thinking and living. instead of those that pass on manipulation and covertly mistreating and using others. If you have narcissism in this home, and in that home, and in this home, you will have a society of people just using one person after the next. But if you have healthy treatment and love in this home and that home, you will have a society of people that aren't perfect by any stretch, but people that are by and large trying to do better and better and better. Not just for themselves, but for others around them. I think we need to take a step back and look at what is causing all of this. Even though we can't fix certain people. Because I believe if my brother was given more healthy life choices when we were young, he might have lived a completely different life. And a great many others too. And as a result, we might have run into less of these narcissists in our life journey. Something to think about. With that said, I do hope your day is blessed. And until next time, bye for now. And be good to yourself.